Katie Borton, Brian Pape, Dr. Shirley Smith, and Erica Olson. I will, just one last time, please make sure everybody should sign in. If you're here from the public and wish to speak on an application, there are speaker cards, please fill it out and hand it to me. There are agendas here. I will not be taking things in order. And that's that. So when I call your application, please come up. In this room, we have a podium now, so you can go to the podium and speak. I know. And speak into the microphone. Everybody needs to use the microphone. The microphone there has a little dial in the middle that you can raise and lower it, but it needs to be used. So present your application to the committee. The committee will then ask any follow-up questions, go back and forth a little bit. Once the committee is done, we will go to the public for any comments. Public come up, use everything, address the committee. Once we've heard from everybody on the public, we'll go back to the applicants to address any concerns, issues, questions that were raised. Everybody addresses the committee. There's no back and forth. We ask that everybody speak respectfully to each other. And just for those of you that are here regularly, we usually meet at the church. We're meeting here this month. We're meeting here many months, but make sure you check the calendar every month to see where the meeting locations are, because they're likely to be switching up. I think that covers everything. Yeah. Okay, so the first application is going to be Yakitori West Village at 282 Bleecker Street. This is a restaurant wine application. Go ahead.
It's good. Hi, good evening. My name is Sam. I'm the representative. I'm here for Yakitori West Village. And this is going to be a Japanese izakaya offering for yakitori. And we are applying for beer and wine license. And our operation is going to be 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. 7 days a week. And we have only one bar and 6 stools and 13 table, 50 seat. And we're going to have a background music only and no outdoor seating. And any question? Just
Is this working? On, can you, in here?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I do have some questions. Can you hear Mark?
Yeah, I think it's working, Katie.
Okay,
Go ahead.
great. Okay, so that's great about the hours. That's,
you.
I think that's much improved. I saw that you have a private party. You want to do private parties?
it's like just a birthday party. That is all.
And how many, did you say how many times a year you think you would be doing that?
No,
I mean, we like to ask people once a month, do you need 12? Do you,
maybe it's going to be in the twice a month.
so 24 a year?
Yes.
Okay, that sounds good. And I, do you have space in the basement?
Yes, we do.
I didn't see a plan. I don't see any, I don't understand what's happening in the basement.
Is there any public, is the basement just storage? Okay, okay.
Yes.
Refrigerators. And there's an internal staircase to get to it?
Small staircase
Just for the staff? Okay. Where, can you show me where the staircase is here? And is this to the are there residents upstairs? And they come in here,
So you go down those stairs and it just goes to the basement and
Yes. The second floor is gonna be in the, from the outside to entry.
To entries, and do the residents use the basement, or is you,
No,
it's
no,
just
no,
you,
only for-
you have exclusive use of the basement?
And your
Okay,
staircase is separate from the residence staircase.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
that's it. Okay, with the hours, the email I have from,
It's gonna
Well,
be 11 a.m. to 12 a.m., 7 days a week.
okay,
Yeah, 12 a.m.
I think they had recommended closing at 11 PM Sunday to Thursday and 12 AM Friday and Saturday. But
Can,
The- that-
can we,
that, or,
can we do the 12?
you know what, I'll go to the public and you can come up in it, so we have that, okay.
Sure.
And then I think the other concern that they had was about the delivery, because you had said, you know, you expect more delivery business later in the evenings, and so somehow that has to be controlled outside, however you do that, so it doesn't cause a commotion. I mean,
But usually it's gonna be in the, after 11, it's gonna be start closing up. So usually it's we say in the 12 a.m.
do you have a set time where you stop taking delivery orders? So you wouldn't take any orders after 11 o'clock?
Well, 11 is the cutoff usually allow us 12.
Okay,
If you 11, that would be 10, 1 hour before closing.
okay,
And we're not exactly a delivery restaurant. it's a dine-in.
right. Okay. Does anybody from the committee have any questions? Is there anybody here from the public? Did you fill out a card on this one or no? Did you fill out a card on this? You did. Okay, come on. Yeah, you have to come up. Yeah.
Hi, Kathy Arnson, Central Village Block Association. We did discuss 11 PM closing because it is very residential. And we were worried about, especially if there are deliveries and there are bikes piling up outside. It's a very narrow sidewalk there. And, you know, we just didn't want a lot of confusion and noise and right outside people's residence. But we would go to midnight as long as on the weekend it's midnight also and doesn't go
Okay,
later than that.
okay,
Yeah.
Great.
I think that's it.
okay. Thank you. Okay. Anybody else? We're good. Okay. I think we're good. So the closing hours mean everybody out
Yes.
and
12.
12 o'clock.
Before 12.
Get your stipulations. You know how that.
Yes. I got
Okay.
it.
Background music, no dancing, no DJs, doors
Correct. Yes.
closed, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. The next application is going to be 365 Thai Inc. doing business as Moon and Back at 117 West 10th. This is an on-premise for a restaurant. Introducing other committee member, Carter Booth. Same thing, is any different? No? Oh, okay, good. I think I got that.
Sam Park.
Okay.
I'm here for 365 Thai INC and doing business Moon and Back. And this is gonna be in the Thai restaurant, and we are applying for a full liquor license. And this is the restaurant before it's the Pinto Garden, used to be. And our operation is gonna be 12 PM to 11 PM, 7 days a week. And one bar that's north seat, and 25 tables, 62 seat, including the back and front. And we have only gonna be background music only. No outdoor front seating. Outside,
No outdoor outside,
Yeah.
aside from that,
yes.
your backyard. Okay. So you have the enclosed garden in the back
Yes, correct.
and that will, let's see, so the stipulations with the community there
Yes.
say that it's for dining purposes only. There will be no music, no speakers, no private parties, no bars. It will open no earlier than 12 p.m. and it will close no later than 10 p.m. every night, meaning all patrons and staff
Yes.
are out by that
Yes,
time.
correct.
And no sidewalk cafe. Inside music is quiet background only. You won't install any French doors or operable windows, and your doors will close by 9 o'clock at night.
Correct. Yes.
And there's no
Always.
TVs, or they're always closed.
Yeah.
I mean, they're always closed, right? And there's no use of the basement except for storage.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Does anybody from the committee have anything on this? It is the it's Mark Gluck, Mark Gluck, the people, it's in the drive, it's right. It's the, yeah, no, it's them, yeah. No, that's them. They all went around with it. Okay. Is there anybody here from the public on this?
Donna?
Yeah, go ahead, Katie.
Yeah,
then.
so in your statement of public interest, you said that renovations would create jobs. Are you planning to do renovations? Microphone.
Just painting, like do cosmetic things, not like crazy. Like,
Not
you know.
the major thing, so just gonna be do the painting and then clean up, that's all.
So the statement says the renovations will bring jobs to the community, but I don't think they're going to bring too many jobs. Okay. And when the letter of no objection was awarded, did the DOB know about your garden structure? Because I know this has been a problem. The noise out there has been a problem.
That's it's pretty so approved, and then a letter of no objection with the backyard in the
Included?
Yes.
Okay, does anybody else on the committee have anything? Is there anybody here from the public on this item? Yeah, it's in there. They signed a whole stipulation, yep. Okay, I think that's it.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thanks for doing the outreach ahead of time. You know why, Katie? Because I didn't realize it didn't go to the office. It only came to me, so I just put it in. But it was that he just gave you. Okay. The next one is going to be Dante Grove Street LLC doing business at Dante, 7981 MacDougal Street, on-premise restaurant. This is an alteration to add sidewalk and roadway.
Good evening, CB2. Max Bookman, Pizetsky and Bookman PC. I'm an attorney. With me is Lyndon Pride, principal of Dante Grove Street. This is what the State Liquor Authority calls a municipal alteration application under their advisory 2024-1, in which we will be registering, excuse me, in which we will be registering with the Liquor Authority what will ultimately be the approval by DOT of a sidewalk and roadway cafe license for this premises and the alcoholic beverage service that will obviously go along with it. We've included copies of our DOT plans. Both applications are at different points in the DOT process, and we are happy to answer any questions that the committee has.
So my first question, I'm just going to go to the sidewalk.
Okay.
Because it's only 2 feet 4 inches wide, so it's not ADA accessible, according to the plan that I'm looking at. And I know you used to have a sidewalk there, I believe before, because we had stipulations for that, but there was the 8 feet before, and now you've got the 10 feet, so now you're cramped in there. And So number one, it's not ADA accessible, and number two, I don't see how any wait staff gets to any of the tables that are not the tables that are right next to the door because it's all crammed in there.
Yeah, so I'm listening to what you're saying, Donna. The Sidewalk Cafe has not been evaluated by
No, I
DOT
know.
licensing examiner yet, so my guess is that we'll have similar feedback from the licensing
Okay.
examiner.
Okay. The roadbed seemed, you went, I mean, that seemed like that. What do you want to do?
Couple questions. Just on the sidewalk cafe, because you guys, sorry, I'm just gonna go back. All right, so you guys are interesting because you have two entrances, so it gives you more access into the space. What's in the middle? It looks like there's an indication that, is that a opening or what is that in the, or is that a window or?
There's two windows on either side, that's just the wall.
Oh, pardon. Okay, what he was saying is that there's two windows on either side, so the two like triple lines that you see are windows, and then the one single line that you characterized as an opening, he's saying is a wall.
Oh, that's okay. Because I was just gonna point out just with the barriers, how do you get to the middle two tables?
Yeah, we heard that from Donna too, and I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah.
DOT will say that also.
And then just separately, where are the barriers? For that separate the sidewalk cafe?
Okay, so we're gonna have stanchions on the dotted line, not planters or barriers with
Okay.
substantial width.
Okay, thank you.
That's right, the outdoor dining.
I'm sorry, I didn't have this on. You're getting an FDNY waiver. You've applied for the FDNY waiver for the roadbed,
DOT has,
or DOT has applied for the FDNY waiver for the roadbed.
DOT has approved the diagram for the roadbed. And so, they sometimes tell us when they've talked to FDNY, sometimes they've not, because they're, as you just said in correcting yourselves, they're the ones who communicate with
Right.
FDNY on the waiver, but
Okay.
we do have approval from DOT on the roadbed plan.
Okay, okay, I think that is getting a waiver, all right. Does anybody,
So is there no other restaurant with outdoor seating on either side of Dante's?
We're actually the restaurant on the north side as well. We haven't put the haven't put the application in on the 85 MacDougal, which is on the north side. On the south side, I'm not sure. They just opened, that's a crew.
But to your point, which I think you're getting to, is
Space.
DOT regulations do not allow for a wall of roadbed dining. So to the extent that DOT gets applications for roadway on either side, there's going to have to be a modification requiring an opening.
Yeah,
Okay.
in the roadbed?
That's
For
right.
this, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Okay. So I think that, Katie?
So is the scaffolding in these photographs still up? I haven't walked by.
Scaffolding still up. Yeah.
How long will the scaffolding be up?
This is New York. We never know how long the scaffolding will be up. Hopefully it'll come down soon.
Well, I don't know how you can meet the clearance, even in these pictures. Your diagram of the chairs is impossible because of the scaffolding.
Well, so I was too quick to jump to that answer, so I've been corrected by my client. They've actually begun taking the scaffolding down, and he's been told it'll be down in the next 4 weeks.
Okay.
4 weeks. I mean, that's what they're telling us.
Well, that would be helpful.
For everybody, yes.
Okay, and then I think there was someone who was complaining about noise, music. Have you addressed those concerns? Have you spoken to that woman? Speak to that.
the complaints for the noise was actually in the morning, getting the table set up, and we
Okay.
actually met with that resident, and we adjusted the time that the tables and chairs were taken out onto the sidewalk.
Okay,
And We haven't had any other issues since.
Okay. Good. All right. Anybody else from the committee before I go to the public? Okay, members of the public here on this? Leslie? Quick.
No, I think I heard that there is an emergency travel lane waiver here. That's
Yeah.
what happens, good, okay. So, we are opposed to emergency travel lane waivers in CB2
Just do me
area.
one favor, Leslie, state your name and your association. Yeah.
Leslie Clark, West Village residents. We're opposed to these, emergency travel lane waivers with the, hearing next March 11th. There will now be 100 of these in Community District 2. We think this is inherently dangerous. It is more important to get fire engines and ambulances to our doors than for people to eat in the roadway. And for that reason, although we understand this is an SLA hearing, we are asking you to deny a license in this location. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, is there anybody else here? I don't think so. Okay. Committee, nobody? Any response? Nothing?
No response to that.
Okay,
no.
okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. The next application is going to be Sada 1 LLC doing business as Empellon, 230 West 4th Street, on premise for a restaurant. This is also the alteration to add the sidewalk and the roadway.
No, I saw some of the diagrams were, one of the diagrams was cut off a little bit, the sidewalk. Oh, no, that's right, I think it was just. Carter? Good evening, everyone, my name is Benjamin Kornrod.
Yeah, you can raise it, lower it, whatever.
I'm the attorney for Sada 1 LLC. I have with me here tonight Alex Stupak, who's the owner and principal of the restaurant. This is an application for an alteration to add roadbed and sidewalk to an existing license. We've appeared at the CB2 dining out committee for the roadbed, and we have been conditionally approved by the DOT. We have not appeared for the sidewalk yet, but we're hopeful that will happen soon. If you remember when we initially appeared at the CB2 DOT dining out meeting, we had significantly larger roadbed seating. It was approximately twice the size. We listened to feedback from neighbors. We cut it back in half. So it was two separate 38 feet structures. Now it's just one 38-foot structure. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer them.
Okay, just hang on one second. And so the sidewalk 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and you have your. Okay. Okay, so you haven't been there yet for the sidewalk,
not
your
been there,
schedule, okay. And everything is going to close at 10 o'clock.
That's correct.
Okay. Opens at 4 and then opens at 1 on the weekends.
That's correct.
Okay. Does anybody from the committee have any questions? All right, I'll go to the public. Leslie Clark.
Is that all right? Can you hear
Great.
that?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay,
State your name again and
Leslie Clark, West Village Residents Association. We understand that there was a change made in which making this roadway shed smaller. However, it does cover the residential doorway. We understand that DOT is now allowing this workaround, but as a resident of the area and as policy, West Village Residents does not approve and cannot approve of a license for a shed that covers a residential doorway, which this one does. We have no objection to the license for the sidewalk. Thank you.
thank you. Nancy Paisley.
Nancy Paisley, 36 Barrow Street. I just wanted to point out to the committee that the diagram for the sidewalk shows just a few tables up against the wall. But the applicant has submitted 2 or 3 photographs showing many more tables and chairs not up against the wall, taking up more than is permitted of the sidewalk. And hopefully that is not their intent, but we have seen other establishments that put in a plan that is quite kosher and then proceed to do something entirely different. So I wanted to point that out to the committee.
Okay, and I think all those photographs, I mean, all the photographs we're looking at is what everybody was doing. Hopefully, everybody will conform to the rules and regulations that are put in place, and
The photographs of the roadbed appear to be the new setup. That's not what they had before, so
Okay.
I don't know why they have got dozens and dozens of chairs when they're applying for 8 or 10.
right, okay. Okay, anybody else from the public? Anybody from the committee have any other questions?
Response. Yeah, just if you can just address the sidewalk cafe, because there also aren't barriers that are there, which will be required. And it also looks like the last
There should be
4 tables on each end
Just
wouldn't be accessible, the outermost chairs, because it looks like if there is a barrier, like in the drawing, you need the barriers at the ends. Like you on the outside. So I mean, that'll come up, but
And-
that's
So to cap off each.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that's not a problem.
Because the problem though is getting to the last 2 seats.
Right.
If
And just to address the photos, those were, I don't know the exact date, but they were taken before we even filed, so it'd be June or July when, before, under the dining out program. Sorry, the open restaurants program.
Go ahead, just grab your.
Just
your-
with that image, both, that was the sidewalk was under the old rules and that was not a new roadway setup. What happened to us was, Con Ed had us demo the entire structure. And then, of course, we were toward the end of summer. So we put those construction barriers out there, which is not what it's going to look like. We just did that because rebuilding an entire house was not tenable.
Right.
And just to the other point about blocking the doorway, when at the last meeting that we had, I had heard that concern and we could have cut short the first length to perfectly align with that doorway. But to me, there was also another concern. We have a really big signage. There was a concern about parking. I thought losing the second length was a lot more generous and friendly to the community than perfectly aligning with the feng shui of the front door.
Okay, got it. Thank you. All right, thank you. Yep. Okay, the next application is going to be 86 Bedford LLC. This is an on-premise for a restaurant.
Good evening.
Hi.
Joseph Levy here on behalf of
Yeah.
86 Bedford LLC. I have with me the general manager of this restaurant, or the restaurant to be, I should say. The application before you is an on-premise liquor license application. pursuant to an asset sale. This space has been licensed previously in a number of iterations, Chumley's, most recently Froggies or Frogs Club. Between Barrow and Grove, the concept here is going to be a steakhouse concept, small space, 11 tables, 48 seats, 7 seats at a bar, hours of operation from noon to midnight, 7 days a week. So there'll be some lunch service here as well as dinner service. No outdoor space here at all. Background music only. We have a letter of support from the Bedford Barrow Commerce Block Association. We have some local signatures as well. And as a general rule, the former stipulations that I know have been negotiated and adhered to through a few different generations of similar stipulations, we will also agree to. Pretty much every single operational stipulation that was previously agreed to, we will agree to as well. With the only change from the last set of stipulations is that we are going to look to open at noon instead of 5 p.m. so that there'll be some lunch service as well.
Okay, and so there's no TVs, background music only, no use of the basement by patrons.
Downstairs is back of house only, not used for patrons.
Okay, and then you'll use an electronic reservation system if
Correct.
you-
That allows us to communicate as well to ensure that there's no queuing outside or anything like that.
All right, and then the emergency exits, they'll
There
be
are 3 of them.
alarmed and
They'll
or
be alarmed, yeah?
or
Yes.
they are alarmed. Okay,
And we're aware of the sensitivity of one of the doors that has been a problem historically, and we will make sure that it's not being used.
okay. Which is
Correct.
the alley,
The original door, yeah.
the original door. Okay. I think that is it for my question.
So while there are historic stipulations, they have not always been adhered to.
Not always been.
And
adhered to, yes.
And it was the closing time of the most recent operator that I got calls, which I don't like to get because the nature of how they were running their business was, I don't want to characterize it in a negative way, but it was such that people are hanging out outside
Yes.
and not just leaving. And that's a very quiet area, which is why Chumley's always worked because people were in and out and it wasn't, but whatever that was, it is what seemed to cause some friction.
Yep. And I think
So I don't know what the style of your operation will be, but that's, that whatever that was that it caused in the end was sort of eruptions of larger groups outside on the street. So that,
I think there wasn't a tight programming, to be honest with you. And then at some point it became obvious that they weren't going to be there for that long and they cared a little bit less about it. This will be a much tighter program, much tighter ship run by people who are familiar operating in this city, in this community, and can run a tight ship.
Can you just state your name?
Yeah, Emmy Lou Taylor.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
And just by way
anybody?
of background, Emmy Lou has been operating in this community, within this community board for many, many years as the former GM of Fort Charles.
Okay. Okay, so,
I also live on Charles Street, so West Village resident as well.
okay.
Sort of handpicked for this particular project. For exactly
Okay,
that reason.
anybody else from the committee? Brian?
So what you're saying is that you had no connection with the previous establishment or
He
operation?
did not. I did their original liquor license. And that was the extent of my
Okay.
relationship with them.
Okay, thank you.
are you gonna be painting?
Yeah, it's fun.
So, I have some questions, Donna, when
Yeah.
you're ready.
Yeah, go ahead, Katie.
So where is the applicant?
Say again?
Where's the applicant?
The applicant is not here at the moment, but she will be running the restaurant, and that's not uncommon.
Hmm.
Certainly appeared before this board with, as long as we have someone with, an understanding of the operations and the ability to agree to stipulations. I've certainly presented that before this board many times.
That's your opinion. So, are you going to have the same menu for lunch and dinner, or do you have a different lunch menu in mind?
We will have the same menu all day long.
Okay. And the same price points?
Correct.
Okay.
Same price point.
Yep. have you, are there people living in the apartments in that building and have you met with them?
I have. So his name is Michael. Myself and the director of operations met with him and the landlord and the super for the building. He had some concerns, so we listened to his concerns. He was very supportive of our operation. He's been living in that building since it was Chumley before the pandemic, so we will be the third operator in that space. His concerns came down to the fact that HVAC is controlled outside of his apartment, and he wants to know how to communicate effectively about any time that we need to do any sort of maintenance for that space. Luckily, again, like I was able to be there. I was able to tell him I live around the corner. I'm a 5-minute walk away. He was really, really excited that we are going to honor some of his requests. Some of those have to do with just longstanding, like fireplace, music. We're doing another round of insulation. The ceiling has not been properly insulated with the last ownership. There was also like a lot of diversity in terms of the style of services that were happening there. Our intention is to run it as exactly the same operation Monday through Sunday. We won't be like changing the music. We're not having a disco night. We're not doing an industry night, things like that. It's a proper restaurant. We will also exercise the use of a little bit of security detail simply to keep the sidewalk free and make sure that people are not bothering him because he also lives at 86 Bedford. It's 2 doors for the same address. So,
Yeah,
you know,
yes,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
But he didn't sign your petition though, or send a letter.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was out of town when we did the petition signing. I was sent down to Dallas to one of our other operations. I did get in contact with him. He's out of town, so he wasn't able to sign the document. I would be more than happy to connect on his.
Yeah, why don't you just have him send
1,000%.
Yeah,
send a
yeah,
letter?
that'd be good. Yeah, because really
Yeah,
don't
absolutely.
have, the signatures here aren't, very close by, but we all know Kathy Donaldson and we all know the Block Association, and she
Okay.
does live across the street.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else on the committee have anything? Okay, I'll go to the public. Nancy Paisley.
Okay, Nancy Paisley, 36 Barrow Street. I am a member of the Block Association, but I'm not appearing on behalf of the Block Association. In fact, I'm surprised to learn that they met with these applicants. I only learned of this when it was posted a few days ago on the CB2 website. Without casting aspersions on the prior tenant, I'm happy to hear that this is a new leaf here. I realized that the prior applicant had a midnight closing across the board. We had asked her for an earlier closing on weeknights, and I would reiterate that request. Midnight on a school night is on a narrow residential, otherwise quiet street is a problem. I'm happy to hear there will be some sidewalk control because that's been a problem. And also a problem with limos and Ubers and so forth, particularly with particularly with a fair number of private parties where people all leave at the same time. Again, on a small, quiet street, I don't see anything about traffic control here. So my request, if I had been able to meet with these people, would have been for an earlier closing, at least Sunday through Thursday.
Okay.
And careful attention, which they say they will give to the sidewalk, but also the traffic.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else here from the public on this? Okay. Yeah. No, why don't we just talk about how many private parties? Okay.
15, we're gonna say 15 per year, and that'll be in your steps.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, we're talking about 38 to 40 people maximum. So
And is there any plan
For traffic?
for the traffic? I mean, your
Yes, so the idea
people
here,
have the corner store, the other, this is likely to be a well-run and very popular place. So the
Yes.
traffic mitigation.
as Emily mentioned, we will have, whether it be security or door detail, people maintaining the frontage of the space, and that is to not only prevent people from bothering the residents or standing in front of the residential doorway, but we'll also be keeping the sidewalk clean and we'll be keeping cars moving. We will absolutely be paying attention to that. If there's an opportunity to move like an Uber or Lyft pickup space somewhere further away so that it's not just a bottleneck right there.
Or just make sure they're not standing
We'll
there
look at
all
that.
night
We will
like they do.
absolutely be moving people along. Again, Emmy Lou was kind of handpicked for this job because of what she did at Fort Charles, where they have been able to manage that nicely. And I know there was some trepidation there with having a security guard outside on that block. And then a couple years in, people love him and he's part of the neighborhood and it seems to be working okay. So we are absolutely paying attention to that.
Okay. Corner store, you want to just give us a rundown of the ownership?
Sure.
Yeah.
Happy to talk about that. That did not come before this board because the ownership is the same as it was. It was the former Dos Caminos, which is owned by Landry's. Ownership is the same. We did register a management agreement with the State Liquor Authority for that. That's overlaid on top of it. And until that gets approved by the State Liquor Authority, there's an interim management agreement in place that does not require any approval before we get started. We registered the appropriate DBA with the Liquor Authority probably 6 or 8 months ago, which has still not appeared online, although we did receive an indication that it's been approved in their system. But I think you guys know how things are going at the Liquor Authority these days, so that's not terribly uncommon, unfortunately.
Okay. All right. I think, is there anything? The hours?
It's a non-starter for us, midnight across the board. It's what's been here for a while. It's what we need. And it's what the former steps were. It's what the Block Association agreed to. I'm sorry, Nancy, that you weren't included in that. We reached out to the Block Association with the assumption that there would be a bit of circulation of the information. So I'm sorry that never happened. But midnight, we think, is in line with what's been there and what we can manage.
Okay. Anybody else? No? All right. I think we're good. Thank you. Okay, the next application is going to be 1LW12 Restaurant LLC, doing business as Sarah, 1-3 Little West 12th Street, on premise for a restaurant.
Okay, again, all right. Evening again, Max Bookman. Is that, can I?
You could,
Can I turn the mic?
you can turn the mic, you can take it out, you can lower it, you can do whatever you want to
Yes,
do with
SLA,
it, just as
yes.
long as you speak it. No, you're allowed to touch it.
All right, CB2.
But
let's
you need,
touch
you
some-
might need to do something, Max, if you do need to speak into it. So I don't know if that means bring it closer or what. I guess I need to also.
All right, okay. Max Bookman, Pozetzky and Bookman PC. This is for 1 Little West 12th Restaurant LLC. I'm going to introduce the people behind me in a second. In terms of location, this is right where, is on Little West 12th. It's right where it splits off from Gansevoort. It's at the corner of Hudson, and then the other corner is 9th Avenue. It's an on-premises full liquor restaurant license. The people behind me are Ryan Harris, who is one of the owners, hospitality industry veteran, Eric Agababayev, owner, also owner of Molluska, which was the last restaurant to occupy the premises. Cody Pruitt, who is part of the team as the consulting chef. He's the owner of Libertine and is consulting on food menu concept, kitchen staff, overall look and feel, etc. And then sitting in the audience there is Phil Zalanki. He is the general manager, day-to-day director of operations, the person who's on site at all times. The premises is 2 floors, ground and basement. Ground floor is the front of house. We have a diagram that pretty clearly shows that. The basement is where the bathrooms are, as well as kitchen and storage. The most recent license was Mollusca. I negotiated those tips with you early in the COVID times. It was like June of 2020. And a lot of the discussions concerning this location have been in reference to the Mollusca stipulations. We've been speaking up until a few hours ago with neighbors who are interested in the details of this operation. And so it's been somewhat fluid. Here is where we are at. Indoors, 1 a.m. Thursday through Saturday, midnight, all other nights. So that's rolling it back from what we had proposed, but in line with what Mollusca's stipulations were. There's going to be a sidewalk cafe with 22 seats, closing at 11 p.m. Mollusca also had a sidewalk cafe in their steps. French doors to close at 9 p.m. all days. Mollusca had 9 p.m. Music. No entertainment level music. All music is recorded music. No live music. We had proposed live music. Mollusca's stipulations allowed for some limited live music. Feedback was no live music, so no live music. And the latest announcement is on the DJ. We had proposed an entertainment level DJ. There was feedback against that. We had then suggested offline a background music DJ. The at least initial indication we got on that is opposition to that as well. So we will have no DJ. In addition, no dancing, the usual things, no promoted events, no event where a cover fee is charged, no scheduled performances, door staff to monitor drop-offs and pickups. And we're happy to answer your questions.
So I'll start with the no DJs, hours of 12 and 1. Is
That's where we're at, Donna. Yep.
that's where we're at?
Yes.
Mhm. Okay. And then private parties,
Yeah.
I think
10
10 a year.
Pardon me, 10 a year max.
Okay. And then, the outside, the doors are closing at 9. The doors aren't closing at 8. The doors are closing at 9.
9.
9. Okay. There was some talk of 8, but it was 9 before. It
was 9 before.
Right, right, right.
We'd like
Okay.
9.
So then the other thing I think I'd just like to talk about is the sidewalk cafe. So the sidewalk cafe previously closed at 10 Sunday to Wednesday and 11 Thursday through Saturday.
That's right. We would
What,
we would
like,
like 11
we,
across the board.
okay, and we can talk about it, but I think we'd probably like to keep that where that was. And then the other thing I'm just going to say is with that sidewalk cafe plan,
They're giving it up. 10 and 11 is fine.
great. And then with that sidewalk cafe plan, which of course I went out and measured everything and
that was
measured
good,
again
yeah.
last night in the pouring rain and left that piece of paper drying in a different room. So I think, though, I think that's going to need some adjustment on that sidewalk cafe.
Okay.
Because hang on one second, let me just, the street light that's there, do you have the plan in front of
I
you?
do. Well, if you
Okay.
measured in the rain, how could we really trust your measurement?
No, but I am going to say, I think with the street light is on the drawing, but it's not marked as a street light.
Are you talking about the little circle there? Like
Yeah.
Next to the right of the canopy pole?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the street light. So you need your clearance, your 10-foot clearance from that. And if I'm remembering, because I don't have the piece of paper, I can't, I think it's 14 feet. You'll only have 4 feet there. I think it's 14 feet from the street lamp to the doors.
So what you're saying, I'm not
I'm,
agreeing, what you're saying is that if you measure in a radius from the street light, it looks like it would probably kill those two tables.
yeah, or they'd have to
suggesting?
push in or something.
Yeah, we don't
I'm
wanna
just
push in.
saying you're gonna have to work on this plan. I'm not gonna get into
Right.
just, and then there's which is not on this drawing. If you're looking at the drawing to the right of the street lamp is that big electrical box that's there. So you're gonna, I don't know if that impacts this, but it very, because that sticks out a ways and that will need the radius.
So what, I mean, at least it's
But
my
yeah.
suggestion here. This is how we did it. Before COVID is, this is a new application, right? So this is how it's going to be from now on. We're coming to you for the liquor first, almost always.
Mhm.
We'll have to file with DOT. We've not filed this with
Right,
DOT.
right.
We're going to have to come before you again for DOT, where your other committee will go through this.
Right,
carefully. So, I mean, basically the idea that we would respectfully ask you to consider is the concept. of the
Hours,
sidewalk
right,
cafe,
exactly. That's what I'm
roughly-
getting. And
roughly
I just want to make sure that they realize that from my measurements and looking at some of these, you may not be able to have this many tables out there and should just be cognizant of that
We
in
have heard
case
your
that
feedback and we will
makes a
definitely take
difference.
look at that.
But the hours, I could put something down about those hours.
Yes, they've
Okay,
agreed to the prior Molluska hours of 10 and 11.
okay. Does anybody on the committee have any questions?
Yeah, is the interior diagram pretty much set? Because through the evolution of the restaurants here, the layout this works, but there have been more customers forward in front of the open doors in earlier iterations, including a bar right up there. And so if it's back, I'm just wondering if
Yeah.
this is pretty fixed.
So the short answer to your question is yes, this is fixed. The slightly longer answer is there was some discussion with the neighbors about the bar and where it's located, and just to be unequivocal, there is no bar at the entry there. The bar is how we have it demonstrated in the diagram.
Thank you.
And then my last thing is there's no ropes outside, no red rugs outside anymore.
I didn't ask about rugs.
No, no
no
runners, no red runners outside anymore, and no Instagram
Do you want
fake
runners?
flowers. No, I do not.
no
No, I do not. Okay. All right.
Um,
No runners, period. Katie, did you have?
Haven't been answered yet. So what will the average check be, please? Thank you.
you're 85, just for the microphone, $85.
Yeah, thanks, Max. And is there access to the elevator to other parts of the building?
No. So it only goes for our floors, right?
Microphone.
Ground floor to basement? That's all it does. Okay, that's an ADA only elevator. It's purposely for ADA access. It does not access any parts of the building. It just goes from the ground floor to the basement
Thank you. So you say,
with a key. You need to use-
excellent.
Joyce Goldsman, Zach Weinstein.
Hi, I'm Joyce Goldsman. I live at 61 Jane Street. I want to thank the team for all the concessions that you made. I think you did a really good job.
Yeah, talk to us.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I would like you to thank them for me.
You can thank them, just talk to us.
I think they did a really good job as far as concessions were concerned. And I'm pleased with what I see. Kate Bostock also asked me to represent for the Jane Street Block Association, that they were obviously opposed to a DJ, and since that's gone, I'm going to assume that they would approve this, although I'm not speaking for them. So I thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Zach Weinstein, 92 Horatio Street. And again, yeah, the community did have some concerns about this application initially, and specifically the entertainment level, live music and DJ. The French doors have been always a potential problem at this location. And I just want to say I really appreciate the way that the applicants worked with us. There's now background music only, no live music, no DJ. We were a little concerned about the hours. They rolled it back to what Molluska had. And I'm happy to support this application.
Great,
as it
thank
stands, and
you.
I really appreciate
Okay.
the way that.
And
folks
just
worked with us.
as, just for record, I live near here. I am the Block Association that's right there. So, and I did speak to Kate before I came here, who couldn't be here tonight, and she was in support of different variations of this. She'd be thrilled with this.
I
So,
would
yeah.
like, I guess, sorry, one other thing. We mentioned this when we talked to the applicant. The only other concern which they're aware of and are going to work with us, I believe, is making sure that if it's successful as we hope and there are people waiting, that there will be space for them to wait inside and it won't be.
Yeah,
short
and I know, one of the suggestions with that is if it's a problem, also go to the 6th precinct and get them to get the cars not standing in that no standing zone, because nobody's supposed to park across the street until 11 o'clock. So that your closing time might have some issues, but when people are arriving, that would help that.
Free up space.
And the other issue, not for us, but for the applicant, is the trash that's all piled up right next to where you want to have your sidewalk seating. So, good luck with that situation. I hope you can do something with it. So, that-
I've made notes of the comments you made about trash and the 6th precinct.
yeah, the trash, the trash is a real, for them, it will be a real problem. Because that's where the hotel dumps their trash, but they take it out. I could show you pictures of 9 o'clock at night the other night. There are gazillion dumpsters and garbage bags there. So
Hopefully,
that's going to be
Yeah, hopefully
something you'll have to.
Business conversation.
Right,
maybe move the
exactly,
needle on that,
exactly.
sometimes better than a resident business.
Yeah,
conversation.
I haven't even talked to them about
Okay.
that because that's not, yeah.
I'll
yeah.
advise them to speak.
Okay, great. All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
And good luck. It'll be nice to have something in there. Thanks. Okay, the next application is going to be BBNY 14 LLC, doing business as Beatbox 248 West 14th Street, on premise tavern.
Keep forgetting, do you want one? Oh, thank you. You're still good, yes?
I'm good.
Okay.
Son, I assume the one uploaded today. There's a few different, there's one uploaded today, that's the one I should be looking at.
Yeah. I don't think it's that different, but there's an email. There's an email in there that says what the differences are. Yeah, I think so.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Okay, Max Bookman, Pizetsky and Bookman PC. This is for Beatbox, which is on 14th Street, the northernmost part of your community district near 8th Avenue. This is a karaoke business with a modern twist. Behind me is Sarah Goodson. She has a background in events and experiences. Lonnie Rosenfeld. She has a background in production. They met at Stanford Business School, and they've been working together with my firm for almost a year now on finding a good location for their business, which I'm going to tell you a little bit about. I just will say, since all of my other clients have left the room, that, I work with a lot of people. I just frankly, they are some of the most responsible and dependable and detail-oriented people I've worked with. They are 100% full-time committed to this business. This is their job. They have watched dozens of hours of CB2 SLA committee meetings to understand who you all are, and
you.
I just found that interesting because most of my clients don't do that. Wanted to point that out. So as I mentioned, the premises is on 14th Street. It's 3 buildings down from the 8th Avenue corner, ground floor and basement. The second floor is a separate commercial tenant. It's been different things over the years, nail salon, other stuff. And there's commercial tenants, ground floor commercial tenants on either side. This premises has a history of full on-premises liquor licenses. It may go back even further than I'm able to tell. But from what I'm aware of, there was a place called Snap Sports Bar and Grill that was there from roughly 2010 to 2012. Downstairs, I'm not sure if it was affiliated or not, but through a separate entrance, they had a nightclub called Stash, which they still have a website that's up, and their website says they're open until 4 a.m. Wednesday to Saturday. Then it was Black Tap Burger from 2014 to 2018. And it's been vacant for quite some time, but you did hear about this place after Black Tap Burger closed, because in 2021, you approved an applicant called 248 West Culinary for this location, for a full on-premises license, both floors, midnight, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and then 2 a.m. all other nights. They never opened. Background.
They're keeping you on your toes, I think, with this one.
Yeah, so far so good. So concept, it's a karaoke business, but it's not your average karaoke business. So I'll explain to you how it works. There's some traditional aspects up to it. So it's 3 rooms of different sizes, based, accommodate groups of different sizes. Our floor plans show all of this. There's 2 rooms on the ground floor and then 1 room in the basement. So the typical use case for their business is going to look something like this. A group will pre-book a room. When your group comes in, people will come in, let's say it's at 7 o'clock is the appointed time. Some people will come early or whatever. Some people will come late. While we're waiting for your group, there is a seating area where you walk in, where you wait for your group to assemble. There's a bar further in, where you could also be served drinks from. Then you'll get your room. In your room, there is a call button, sort of like a airplane or a hospital bed where, not a great analogy, where the server will know that service is being requested. Server will come in, take drink order, take food order, and fulfill it to the rooms through wait service. And then you will do the karaoke. So each room features a large screen. They have developed their own proprietary software. They've licensed over 60,000 karaoke songs. And there's basically 3 modes to pick from. There's regular karaoke, where you pick the song, lyrics appear on the screen, everybody takes turns singing. Then they have a singing skill-based mode, where you earn points based on how well you sing. So it doesn't matter necessarily if you get the lyrics right, but it depends on your voice. And then they have an opposite mode, which is the 3rd mode, which is a lyrics skill mode, where you earn points based on how well you know the lyrics. It doesn't matter how poorly or well you sing. And they feel that is good for the uninitiated, because a lot of trepidation exists with people being afraid of how they sing. Any of those 3 options also comes with, this is part of their software, a choice to basically auto-tune your voice. So a computerized function that improves how your voice sounds as you sing. They've likened it to something like bumpers on a bowling alley. It's for beginners or people who just, want it a little bit easier. They have that option as well. So that's, I know, for somewhat novel concepts, you like a lot of detail. And so that's why I wanted to give you that detail. There's no outdoor space whatsoever. No sidewalk cafe or roadway cafe. They will not have dancing, DJs, live music, promoted events, any event where a cover fee is charged, no scheduled performances, no velvet ropes or metal barricades. In terms of outreach, they hosted a Zoom meeting on the 24th of February. They had their own flyers that they sent out to all the local buildings. They have proof attached of them delivering the flyers. There were no attendees.
I was going to say, did anybody?
Nobody came to the Zoom meeting. They emailed 4 different block associations. We were ultimately connected. I think, Donna, you may have had a connection with Stephanie Pappas. I don't know if Stephanie's here or not tonight, but on behalf of the tenants of 238 West 14th, their biggest concern in the email I reviewed was noise in and outdoor space, noise in and outdoor space. Apparently there was a concern with a sort of back area with the door being left
I
open.
think that whole down there, there's back doors
Back
that open up
doors,
and that travels all up and down the block
So they
apparently.
responded and assured them that there's no use of the back area, no outdoor space being utilized for any purpose. We could stipulate to that, and that at least appeared, again, I don't speak for Stephanie, but that seemed to appear to address Stephanie's concern. Hours of operation that we're proposing are midnight, all nights, except for 2 a.m. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, which is in line with what you previously approved for the last applicant who didn't open. We are happy to take your questions.
Yeah, so when people get the rooms, do they reserve them? And then for X amount of time, does that amount of time vary, or do you have a set?
So the goal is to have room reservations. I'm going to let them answer in a minute about whether it's a set amount of time or not, because I don't know the answer to that. You know, I want to be clear that it's not, because I don't want you to put this in the steps, it's not exclusively reservations.
Right.
They will take walk-ins if they have a room and you come in with a group and it's available. But the business model that they expect to be running with is it's not going to be easy to do a walk-in. You're going to have to reserve in advance. Why don't you briefly answer a question on length of time?
You can book by the hour, so it'll be hourly
Okay.
bookings with a 2-hour booking minimum.
Okay. No, minimum.
Minimum.
So you can stay there all night. And then,
I mean, they do want to turn people, but, you know,
Right.
hopefully that you don't stay there all night, but.
well, that's when the reservations, I guess, would come in handy. And then downstairs, what
Yeah, so
is
downstairs.
just the bathrooms or?
Downstairs is back of house components as well as their largest of the 3 rooms, which they envision for large groups, corporate events. They are opening early. They do have a vision to have this be family friendly during the daytime, and so the idea is maybe kids' birthday parties down there. That's the idea for the downstairs.
So how many people are downstairs? Did you break that down for me?
We did not divide the maximum numerical occupancy, but they have an answer, so go ahead.
Okay.
Answer.
The box downstairs will hold a maximum of 35 people.
Okay. All right. Questions? Brian?
So downstairs, you mean those 2 rooms can open up to one another for a total of 30 some?
Yes, the one part will be about 12 people and the other part will be for the rest of it. The curtain is so if you're a smaller group, you're not in a room where it feels really big and it feels really empty. But if you're an event, we can open it up for 35 people.
Okay. My other question is on the emergency exit in the front. It seems like you've got the basement coming up to a hallway, leads to the front, past a restroom, goes into the stairway, which is also connected to the basement and to the stairs going up to the residence or the offices upstairs. It's a lot of corridors.
Use the microphone,
I'll
thanks.
start with your last question. Upstairs, there's the second floor is a commercial space. It's not currently leased. They're renovating it. And then floors 3, 4, and 5 are residential. The emergency exit, it is very strange. The folks actually who I believe you guys approved had done a lot of work to get the permitting for the emergency exit. So the there's a door and an emergency exit corridor with one-way push bars to basically direct the flow of traffic in the event of an emergency. There's 2 sets of stairs, the customer-facing stairs. Those back stairs are purely emergency exit egress. They're you'd come up those stairs and out the door. There's a separate, it's very strange on the map. There's like a separate
Are you saying
exit.
Are you saying that this is not an emergency door, but this is?
No, we're talking about over here. Over here. It's
So-
over here.
This is the customer facing stairs on the left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so, go ahead.
Sure, go
They-
for
they
it.
have-
I can go with you. Yeah,
Yes,
sure.
go ahead.
Okay.
We may talk into that.
Yes. So let's see where we are. Yes. So this is the emergency exit right here. This is a push door right here. Leads to a little vestibule with another push door here that goes outside.
This goes straight outside, not into the residence lobby.
Right
Mhm.
here, this leads into the residence lobby. It's one direction out this door. And then it's the same downstairs leads to upstairs where that happens. Does that make sense? So there's basically 3 exits.
So what we have a problem with is the intermixing of the either restaurant or that kind of commercial space with the residences, corridors, hallways, storage areas, anything like that.
Yeah, we could, sorry. In theory, we have a lot of experience with microphones. It's okay. Yeah, well, we do a lot of audio equipment. In theory, you would never have to use this door, the one that leads to the residential area. This door
it'll
will
be
take you
alarmed
out, it'll be
and-
alarmed and you would never, if there was an emergency, you would follow this pathway straight outside.
This is where the residence lobby starts, but our emergency exit takes you out.
So really,
this
this is not your emergency exit.
Yes,
This is
thi-
really.
this is your emergency exit,
So
correct.
this really should go to here.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, and then this just goes up
That
and
is your,
downstairs.
that is your core customer egress.
Okay,
So you go through.
so if the customers come in and they're going downstairs, they come here and they go up and
Exactly, and
down
that
the
would
middle
lead you
stairway
to,
there.
that would lead you to right here.
There.
Which is bathrooms,
Okay,
and then you go through a little lobby
Okay.
here, and then the big room.
got it. What-
But I do have one question. Don't go away because
Oh,
we're still.
okay.
But you know, if it's an emergency and someone panics, they might come down here and go out. I mean,
They could, they'd probably set off an alarm, and in that case, perhaps that'd be good for the entire building. But yes, in theory, we could block that. I mean,
I don't think the fire department would like that.
we don't use that. That has to exist also because Dre's, which is next door, that's their mode of egress as well. So in the, well, we don't
Oh, really? So they're downstairs. Oh,
egress downstairs,
Oh, so they go out. This is interesting. Okay.
not us, them.
Yeah, no, I understand.
They go out, so.
Got it.
They go here. So they would
Okay.
go up our, so hypothetically, if something were to happen, they go up our stairs and use our emergency exit.
Got it.
Hypothetically, sorry. Hypothetically, if something were to happen, Dre's would use this egress right here and go up our stairs as an
interesting.
I
emergency.
mean, the point though is
Okay.
that these are emergency egress.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, yeah. It's like, wait, this is a big,
Tangent. but I
okay,
mean,
right.
but in
No,
principle,
no, that's interesting. Okay, great, great.
let's go back to
So, okay, so then, yeah, you can go back there. Then my question, just about downstairs again, so there's a curtain dividing those two rooms? That's,
This is a curtain.
It's a retractable curtain or wall. It's, yes, a heavy curtain.
okay, so it's not contrary to your other rooms, which sound like they are very soundproof so that nothing escapes the room, that one downstairs is not,
I
you,
can address it.
you will,
The broader room, Donna, the
Ye-
13 plus 18, which
Yeah,
which
yeah.
forms one room, perimeter of that
is soundproof, but between those two rooms,
Between,
you,
they're not.
you
but I-
wouldn't be having karaoke
the-
going on in one room and something else going on in the other room unless,
you're
is
not-
that
yeah,
because
be one.
it,
The
right,
idea
got
is
it.
if it's a 13-person, let's say, group, the curtain would
Yeah, yeah.
would come and nothing would be going on in the 18-person room. It'd
Right.
be empty.
In other words, it's not two karaoke rooms.
Exactly.
That's, okay. Okay, I think that's it for my questions. Does anybody from the committee have anything? Katie?
Spend my afternoon reading these things. Was this building built in the 1970s? I think, no,
Not sure.
I don't think so. Doesn't look at the top,
did you say
doesn't look
that?
at. You do say that.
Okay.
And I am a little, there are 84 seats and 5,000 square feet of venue, is that correct?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Across the karaoke rooms and the lounge, in theory, you could fit that many people. So in the smaller rooms, you can hold about 12 people. If you count up the bodies that our designers have put in there, yeah, you get to 84 between the bar seats, the karaoke rooms, both upstairs and downstairs, and the lounge seating.
Actually, I'm thinking the opposite. It's rather small number of people for such a large space, but you have a lot of equipment. You do say you have a private party business plan, so how many private parties are you I mean, it looks as if it's all sort of private party. I don't,
Well, they're not all private parties, but I mean, when you ask about private, you mean buyouts. and
Right,
so
yeah,
they're
yeah.
Proposing a maximum of 2 a month.
okay, so 24 a year.
That's right.
Okay. And on the plans that I saw online, for the seller, it showed option 1.
Well, now you
Was
see,
that,
now
was
you
that,
see the,
okay, now this is,
the option
okay,
6.
okay. Okay, that was a little confusing. And now, since we've been talking, I've developed a few more questions. So I do see on the first floor, there's a back door. It looks as if there's a door out of the back. So can you explain that to us? Do you see that, Donna?
That's the one that goes to that rear yard. I think that the neighbors that
Yeah,
That-
yeah, we've heard about this
that
before.
will be closed.
That door doesn't exist currently. They would like to build it.
Oh.
And what the purpose of it is to give them access to do maintenance on the HVAC unit. If there is a concern about that door, they don't have to build it. There is a less convenient way for HVAC maintenance to be done that could still be done without that door, but that is the purpose of that door.
If they build the door, and I'm not saying, I'm not making a judgment about it, but I think that we would demand that it be closed at all times, except for that maintenance. work.
Alarmed, I mean,
There'd
just
be
alarmed
no
or some
smoke, no
use.
people, no staff out there smoking or talking, because that is always a problem.
Yeah, they are in full agreement with that. That was
Okay,
how
so
they
I'll just
represented to
put
the
something in that should you. It
Should we
will,
build a
should
door,
you
it
build
shall
the
only
door,
be
the rear yard won't be used, it will be alarmed
There'll
and,
be alarm
yeah.
on the occasional
Yeah.
HVAC maintenance, no
Right.
other purpose, and you could even, put no smoking by staff, no
Yeah.
other staff use, no.
You've heard us talk about this before.
It's
Matt.
I understand the issue.
Now, what if you're done with your 2 hours and you want to stay? So the idea would be that you could stay and have a drink or something?
Yeah, so they'll let them stay. I mean, we talked about this when we were preparing for it. To continue the bowling analogy, I mean, when you're done bowling, you're allowed to stay also. Most people don't. Most people go. They're not encouraging people to stay, but they're not going to implement a rule that says you must leave. You could stay if you want.
So they'd go in that front area. That's what
That's where they
that
would-
front
yeah, if
area.
someone
you'd
wanted
use
to
for wa-
stay after the karaoke.
Or if
is
somebody
done.
wants to come and just hope that the room clears out and they can get into a room.
That's right. I asked them about too, and again, it's just like, you could theoretically go to the bowling alley just to sit there at the bar and wait for a lane to go up. It's the same thing there.
Is
They're not
that
gonna-
background music then in that front area or,
Background music, yeah.
in the
The
front?
only music we're proposing is background music and karaoke.
and then the karaoke? And then did you speak to any of the residents up above you in those floors 3 to 5? Were you able to?
They got into the building, they slipped, they have a picture
Yes.
of
we
her
saw-
slipping.
Yeah, I saw,
The papers underneath, it's.
and
not-
nobody,
No
okay,
response.
okay.
And what is the cost of the 2-hour session?
It will range depending on time of day for the smaller rooms, about $120 to $150 per hour. And then for the bigger rooms, closer to $200 an hour.
Anybody else have anything?
So I had a question on where you're located the earlier, because how people are going to get there, which is something that's somewhat recent since COVID, that people can't drive on 14th Street, including Ubers, Lyfts. So how do you communicate that? It's up until 10 p.m., I guess, right? Is it 10 p.m. or?
I think it's 11, is it 10 or 11? Do you
Yeah,
know
but
that?
how, because that's a big, I think your demographic isn't always in the area in getting there, or if it's an event, like how's that, how do you communicate that?
All right, so they are gonna tell you how they communicate it. I'll
Yeah.
just preface.
I'm sure they have a plan, but that's why I was asking.
They have a plan, and
'Cause
so.
we've seen, or I've seen that this area of 14th Street has had a lot of challenges since the implementation of that change, like a
Right.
really dramatic change that
So I would start off with, actually, I think it's a question to you, Carter. My understanding as a New York City resident who's been aware of what happened on 14th Street was that like if you are in a taxi or an Uber, your taxi or Uber can come onto 14th Street to drop you
one
off as
block.
long as they don't go past one
One
block, and then
block.
they've got to get off 14th Street. So I mean, I think my first level answer is that, presumably the taxi cabs and the Uber drivers know that, and they know they'll get a ticket, or, if they don't. So I think, that's the first line answer. Is there anything else you want to add on that?
We are planning to set the Uber and Lyft pickup and drop off location on 8th Avenue.
Yeah, and you're close to the corner there too, so, okay. Anything else? Anybody? No? Okay, I think that does it. Good luck. It'll be good to have something in the space there, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for the outreach, even though nobody.
It's nice to meet you.
Okay, the next application is going to be Real Muto, 117 7th Avenue South. This is a on-premise restaurant. It's a class change. Is anybody here for that? Real Muto, 117 7th Avenue South. Am I not? Can you hand me the agenda just so I can make sure that they're on here? Number 10. Layover to April. Okay. Yeah. So we're done with that. Okay. Sure. Should we just go into business session so they? Okay, so yeah, so Caliente, cab restaurant, that was the alteration to add the sidewalk. And I waived the appearance on that. They, went to the outdoor dining. The plans are in there. They have removed the Bleecker Street seating. They removed some of the tables by the tree at the northern space. They have stipulations. I have them in here and I'll put them in the drive that, that it won't have more than X seats. So they took that one column that had 4 tables, I believe, and 16 seats. They're removing 2 of the tables because they believe that they can fit the tables and maintain the clear path. My stipulations say that they will follow all of the rules and regulations, will not have more than X amount of seats, and that the clear path will be adhered to. So,
They'll have that split cafe on 7th Avenue South.
it's the diagram is in,
Yeah,
that's their new diagram. That's the diagram that,
and it's split. It goes in front of that old storefront that they used to control and no longer control. That's what I saw this afternoon. If something's new, I don't know.
yeah, I mean, the layout isn't as well. Some of us on the outdoor dining working group felt that the old layout was better, but I think due to some obstructions or something along those lines with the new rules, they couldn't lay it out the way. And it didn't work. Okay, so that's why they have what looks like to be a not as efficient layout. So there is that split there. And then it's those upper rightmost tables that we're talking about. And it's closing at 10 o'clock. So,
Right, so,
so that was what we had discussed.
all right, so it might be in the stipulations, but the diagram still shows a 6'9".
That's why they're removing those tables, but I'm just going to say that this is all being talked about at the outdoor dining working group. Modifications are going to them. I am not on the SLA committee going to relitigate what was litigated at the outdoor dining working group and with DOT, because we have 200 of these coming to us and we are not going to do it. We can't do it. So the guidelines say, the stipulation says that they need to.
That's what I'm saying, is they had a large number of
Right.
tables before.
Right.
I'm not
Let
quite
me
sure
just,
what was-
well, because this is going to come up on these other ones. So we just need to start dealing with this until we all get the hang of it. So the stipulation says that all outdoor patrons will be seated. Any wait staff will serve only from within the dining out NYC Sidewalk Cafe boundaries and/or dining out NYC Roadway Cafe boundaries. There will be no waitstaff service over any barriers or outside the areas indicated as patron areas on submitted diagrams. There will be no host stands, bus, or service stations on the sidewalk or in the roadbed. There will be no exterior music, speakers, TVs, or any other sound reproduction devices in the outdoor area. There will be no speakers or TVs inside the premises pointing outside through any doors or windows. We'll follow all rules and regulations of the Dining Out NYC program, including clear path requirements. So quite frankly, it's up to them to follow that. You know, and all other stipulations agreed to and executed with Community Board 2 remain in effect. And then it just says Sidewalk FA will substantially conform to submitted diagram and have no more than X tables and X seats on this street. So they can't put more than, and what we agreed to today was I took 2 of those tables out because clearly 2 of those tables will not work. If they can get the other 2 to work, go for it someplace. If they can't get the other 2 to work, I'm not saying they have to have this many tables. I'm saying they're not having more than that many tables. So that sort of solved that, I thought. And I think that is it. So that's that one. The next problem I'm going to have is ZMZ Barrow Tavern LLC, Barrow Street Ale House, 15 Barrow Street. I also sent them stipulations, which they signed, closing at 10 o'clock. And I see that we got an email that that got forwarded to Valerie instead of to me. So I didn't realize that was somebody complaining about the roadbed structure that had been there. I just saw it this afternoon, so I didn't read thoroughly what it all said, but it was a problem. So again, though, I did not know that this had been a problem because we hadn't received the complaints, but these are the same stipulations. They're going to have to conform to the new guidelines, and it's closing at 10 o'clock. So you're not Alexander Miller, are you, Alexander? Okay, so so do you want to come up and speak to that one? Okay, so why don't you go to the microphone and speak on this? And state your name.
Yes, I'm Alex. I live at 3 Sheridan Square, right across the street.
Okay.
I like outdoor dining in general, and also pubs. But I think for them in particular, I just had a hard time with them when they had their outdoor dining. In particular, the TVs, which
Okay.
they had sound off all the time.
Yeah.
But then they would have these big crowds. They'd be
Right.
making a lot of noises, yelling at the TV late. And of course, I mean, one, I don't know if they were allowed to have the TVs.
We're not supposed to, but we have,
Uh,
this is, our committee member here has this problem somewhere else. So
Yeah.
she's very familiar with this.
But even if they were, I don't feel like they've been super concerned about closing hours, because of course, if the Yankee game is on, like it's going to be on. If the
Right,
game is over,
right.
right? And when we would call, they would always just hang up on us right away. And even I did use their outdoor dining area to have a pint a couple times, and even though I've only been like twice, one of the times they're understanding they're complaining to a patron about noise complaints from my building. So I don't really get the feeling that he is super
Okay, I wish
committed
I had known all
to
this. I would have.
a quiet outdoor space. And so like I saw in the application, it says no TVs, but still I think like the space itself, I just don't
Okay.
really feel
okay.
excited for them to be there.
Okay. Yeah.
Love for them to have a liquor license and run indoors. That's great, right?
Right.
It's like specifically the way that they treated the outdoor space.
Was bad. Okay, so what you might want to do is just get in touch with the community, email us.
And my
Or-
wife
or-
sent
or
an
they
email
need
as
to
well.
put-
Sorry, it came in late, so it was at like
Okay,
6 p.m. today.
and
but-
what I will do is make sure you have a copy of the signed stipulations. I know this isn't what, you don't want to spend your life complaining. And if they,
This is fun. This is
okay, oh, good.
It was remarkably entertaining.
Was one of our more entertaining evenings, I will say. But what you should do really, if they're not abiding by the stipulations, you should make a complaint with the liquor authority. If it's noise and everything else, you can call the precinct, you can do all of that, but also make sure you make a complaint with the liquor authority. that they are not abiding by it, because that's what impacts their liquor license. They need to see the complaints in there. But the stipulations do say everything I just read. They should not have any TVs outside. They shouldn't have any music outside, and they shouldn't have any TVs anymore. I think we know a few people were
They
going to
have
be
been
having.
taken down.
Yeah, and they shouldn't
What
be
a
in the
huge
front
quality
windows.
difference.
This is going to be a problem with another good friend of ours. They shouldn't be in the front windows facing out to the outdoor seating either, because that's essentially like having them outside on mute and does exactly what you were saying. Everybody could still cheer and do everything else. So,
And
okay.
I did see one email today. Was it also a problem that the shed was sort of abandoned and there were people living in it or using it for non-eating purposes? Was that part, or was that another complaint that we received about the former shed?
I'm not totally
I missed it.
sure.
Okay,
It-
that wasn't you. It's okay.
It was hit by a trash truck at one point, which that wasn't great. And there is a parking garage right across that would sometimes have like traffic issues because somebody would be trying to get out and like the outdoor seating was kind of in the way, but would just if somebody's trying to come down the street at the same time, but
Okay. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you for coming.
you.
Yeah, and make sure, we'll make sure we email you because I have your email here, so I'll make sure that you get the stipulations so that you have them and you know what they say and you can make a complaint if you need to. Hopefully you won't have to. Okay, can we start business session? Okay, all right. Second, so we'll go, wait, let me. On the weekend.
Sorry, 1 second, I'm sorry.
And before during the week.
Oh, second, I'm sorry.
And the one came
Okay, you're set now, sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then, okay, so you closing midnight, Monday to Wednesday, 2 a.m., Thursday to Saturday. Primarily reservation. But 2 hour for the minimums. So I think the big things are making sure, the point about the rear yard, right, if that door is installed. Right, and that the other emergency egresses are alarmed, right? And was there anything else? 24 private parties per year, okay.
I would normally make, say something about late night on Thursday because it's not school, but they have the location.
No, and I think that's what's been
No,
there.
that's
for-
why I
yeah.
said nothing.
Okay, good. Anybody else? So there's 6 of us, so is this a deny unless?
Sure. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay, there you go. We'll get back to, we'll get to the stipulation, might be tomorrow, might be, but it'll be
2 hours.
It'll be to, no, you know.
Your phone prints. And notarize.
I hope it works out there, though. It's just good to have something, that, and then we'll have three. And we'll have this. Yeah. I'm bringing that for. Yeah. Really appreciate it. Okay, now we'll go, back, let's go to the beginning, yeah, okay? Yakitori Village,
Yeah, Victoria.
Um, 11 and 12, Central Village Block Association was okay with it, background music, no TVs, no outside. The full menu is available. The biggest issue is just working with the delivery services to make sure nothing's going on out there.
And 24 private parties per year.
Thank you, Katie. 20.
Yeah, and what did he say? So they're closing at 12 o'clock, so they will not send out delivery after 11.
That's right.
Correct.
Last delivery order is at 11.
Right.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So they might still come after 11 PM, but. Okay,
Yeah, but it won't be.
right. So we deny unless with that?
Okay.
Okay, the next one is 365 time. This was,
Is there trouble in that dashboard?
there was, and I think it's because nobody paid attention to what the stipulations were. Because I was totally unfamiliar with this little area and I remembered they came for an application, maybe it was a corporate number or something like that. But it was still called Pinto Garden, but I know it's been on my tenure on this committee and it's been that before.
Yeah,
And that's what
there
we
were some
problem.
issues, but they worked it out and then worked through the issues. And I think it was a little bit the operator also.
Yeah,
So there's some changes made, there's some physical changes, there's some covering. I forget exactly what that was done. So there are a number of different things, but I think that Mark, who's really impacted with the residents right there, worked through this and they're super.
yeah, he's the one, so, I mean, the letter is in there, but I was copied on the communication between them, back and forth, and they worked everything out, they've signed those same stipulations, but I'll make sure, I'm gonna incorporate most of your stipulations are our usual stipulations, but I'll make sure I put in all those details I read all about the backyard and the hours.
Okay.
With that,
Good.
I don't think there's anything else that came up in our.
No, that's the only history that I didn't.
Thing with that. Okay. Okay, so then that's deny unless? Sure. Dr. Smith, we're doing.
Such a fast.
That's something, my goodness.
Your contention makes sense.
I know, we need more excitement, but we'll wait, we'll come up. Okay, Dante Grove.
I'm a little confused.
Well, this is our new process. Well, it's a little, I mean, I think,
Why are you confused now for?
yeah.
Yeah, no, I couldn't get for us to hear that feedback.
That's true.
Like, I don't know, I guess I don't know what is outdoor dining versus us, like, is it legal? Is there like an ADA issue?
There are.
Yeah.
Does that come to us? Do we deny because of that, or do?
Well, I
we
think
deny
that's
because
a
of the-
conversation
Well,
for us to
Yeah, I
have.
mean, it's something, that's a great question. I mean, it's something that we could, but at the same time, I mean, let me back up. There's not a lot of confidence in the temporary program, right? And by virtue of that, there's not a lot of confidence in the new program because the problem with the temporary program was enforcement. And we've not been getting much confidence, except lately, I think there's been some action on some stuff.
Yeah.
But that's the underlying distrust for everybody. Then the second part of that is that I think that ADA questions have been raised to DOT and the outdoor dining working group, the vice chair reached out to the national ADA, is it hotline and what, I'm not sure of the exact title, but, and was given some very specific information, which seems to contrast with what the DOT has it not talked about.
Right, yeah, I don't know that it can
And
track,
so
but
the
it's not-
guidance, or yeah, maybe, but there's no guidance from DOT on the design guidelines on how to comply with ADA. And so we're left with, and because of the new clear path requirements are wider than the old program, We had places that previously had sidewalk cafes that
Like
have a
this.
busier thoroughfare, have to have a wider clearance, even though it worked before. But with that narrower clearance, it takes away what was a built-in service corridor, which was 36 inches. And so we're left with these messes without any guidance. And there have been a number of inquiries to DOT and they are not responsive. But if you go on to the 311 website, there is a portion to make a complaint about ADA access for outdoor dining. So it's been a challenge, and this is, I think that we're one of the only boards raising this issue. But there's just a big disconnect, and it's very unfair to the businesses because they're going through all these processes.
Where if they just know that
Without any
2 feet 4
guidance.
inches is not ADA compliant, and so why are you spending?
But the other, and I'm not sure on the exact specifics, but I know we had a two meetings, I think, during I think it was during COVID or just after when we were still meeting on Zoom, we met to talk about ADA. The ADA is enforced a little differently, and a lot of it seems to be through litigation. And so there's some question about this disconnect. You know, why isn't the city giving some guidance with the ADA, at least roughly built in versus none? And so there's been no resolution. So it's, I mean, that's a great question to just bring it all back to here is, you know, should we be supporting something if it's not compliant, but at the same time, you know, the liquor authority could say, hey, we're just here to license whatever the city approves.
Right.
So, you know, it's just a big mess, but we've also heard, you know, I think that there's some sympathy from the liquor authority on the quality of life impact of suddenly throwing a significant amount of outdoor dining into areas where it didn't exist before. That creates a massive impact. And there's no distinction on the city's part as to how the outside is used by a food and beverage establishment. But that is a distinction that's made by the liquor authority because there's multiple types of licenses. And one of those is a restaurant, one of those is a tavern, and there's some other license classes that hopefully fall around that. So there's a lot of open questions, but I think the issue is really the impact. And, you know, that's what we should be looking at, and that's where the hours come in. And we've heard that there is some support for that. But it's an uncharted area.
And specifically the ADA bottleneck we're talking about is where?
On this particular doc, well, for ADA compliance, you need to be 36 inches. 36 inches from what? Just, it needs to be 36 inches wide to get a wheelchair.
And we're talking about
So the sidewalk,
to get in.
to sit in it,
Okay.
to have your chair there, you need 36 inches.
Got it.
So you can't sit at any of these tables. I mean, I think, you know, there's discussion whether the whole sidewalk area needs to be ADA compliant or whether just one table. We believe it needs to be. I mean, that's why the old rules had 36 inches and made the entire sidewalk cafes ADA compliant and also.
Yeah, there are also some other open questions though, which we don't have guidance on, which is if a portion of the outside is accessible,
Exactly.
it's unclear if all of it has to be, but the flip side is and again, I don't remember the specific details, but because this is a new program, apparently it all has to be compliant. was another comment or some
Yes.
variation
No,
of
because if
that.
it was, if you were, right,
So,
because it's
and-
new and the ADA guidelines are there, there's no reason for it not to be compliant, right?
Right, and
So-
then there's also what's considered a separate area. If you have an entryway that splits all these three areas, are those three different areas? You have the roadbed, that's a different area. And so there's some open questions, you know, or places on a corner that came up. But unfortunately, nobody wants to address it. Who's in a position to interpret? I mean, is that right? We've
That is
got,
right.
I mean,
And certainly the ADA history enforcement has been, enforcement is only through complaints. So somebody has to come and make a complaint on that federal level. 'Cause it's a federal law.
or litigation, right?
Oh, sure.
Direct litigation.
I mean, yeah.
Which is what happens.
I mean, that's what I'm thinking, you know, we have that guy who goes around and, sues, he doesn't have a wheelchair, he sues them to get a wheelchair in, and then these people, the small business are paying, you know, a huge fine.
So,
Settlement, they settle.
so I don't
They
know,
pay a fine.
you know, this, I'm glad this one is one of our first ones, because I think, you know, how do we want to handle that?
Well, I think we should say it's conditional upon it meeting
ADA
ADA.
guidelines.
Access, because, you know, at the same time, I find, I'm sympathetic with the liquor authority in that they have so many applications that if DOT is not pushing this issue, I don't know that they have the expertise in-house to properly understand it,
No.
but we may want to get some clarity, and that's where the pressure from our elected officials on these agencies to say, hey,
Well,
what's
right.
the story?
I mean, you raise a good point there. When have we, on the SLA committee, ever addressed the ADA requirements? I mean,
Yeah,
so many of our
because we have many-
restaurants do not have
Right.
accessible entrances. They
That's
do
right.
not have accessible restaurants.
But they're not new, so. they-
No, but
There's still,
Brian's right.
there's still all of these ADA issues that have to be addressed, even by existing establishments. And certainly we've seen with the outdoor dining that suddenly we're adding enough seats outside that it triggers the restroom requirement on the inside
And then
and
they
all
can't get in,
kinds of
that's
other
all,
things.
yeah.
And so, it really can get to be a big issue. But since the SLA committees have not addressed those issues, it's not, certainly not customary.
No,
Maybe if it's
to put another checkbox on.
right in our face or something.
But those, you're right, but the key difference is that this is new program.
Right.
And we had, the owner of, Madam X came in to talk about litigation that had been pursued against them. And, you know, there was a good discussion and dialogue, which I'm recording on Zoom somewhere. But the, you know, a lot of people don't realize that, and in there they have steps going down, and I think it's a fairly steep drop to go down and up. And even though the stairs may not be accessible, the rest of the establishment needs to make accessibility inside. So the bathrooms still have to be accessible, even if you can't get to the floor through, you know, wheelchair accessible and whatever other, you know, accessibility requirements. So that's an example of an old building. It's not a new building, right? A new building would have to be accessible. This is a new program. And I think that it opens up a different dynamic, but like you said, it's not an area this is a systemic issue with the program,
Right.
not with
So
the
that's-
individual premises.
And I should have also put in my comments that that's why I believe that we should make the stipulation comment that it will comply with city code, ADA requirements, those kind of boilerplate things, they have to follow laws.
Right, or the stipulation just says that they'll comply with the ADA regulations and, whatever threading the needle that does, or they don't. Right, I mean, but that's a very complex.
I mean, I just,
For
for
the
this
SLA,
one,
I think that
when
would
you
suffice.
I was just going to say, in a situation like this, none of this is ADA accessible. Other situations you have where you look at the plan, they may not be able to get through, they may be able to sit at a table at the edge or something like this. But this one is not ADA accessible. There's not one chair here that could be ADA accessible. Aside from that, there's no service on it. So you can't get to the table. Serve over, I know, serve over, but you can't.
But those are those are issues that
I'm just saying it
come from the DOT enforcement. And also, there is not a requirement in the DOT rules that there be tables and chairs.
No, but
But-
there is a
but
requirement that
in
it be
the-
ADA accessible.
Okay, but there is a requirement from the liquor authority that they show the tables and chairs.
Right.
So there's a little bit of issues, but I think that this issue, and we should maybe communicate this more with Valerie, needs to be done as a formal communication to DOT and our elected officials to ask for guidance and copy. And, or we could also copy this to the liquor authority and as well, and just say, we'd like some guidance on how to do this, because we have hundreds of applications. And, this isn't the only outstanding question.
No, but this
Yeah.
one, I mean, I just think this situation is pretty clear.
Yeah, but if the DOT issues approves it,
Well, I don't know.
that's,
We've got, I mean,
then we're asking the liquor authority to get into the nitty gritty of an area which they don't do enforcement, but the violation, somebody has to issue the violation, it's not their
Okay.
investigators, so.
So how should we handle this? I mean, they're closing, so we do have our 10 PM closing, which is what we want. And
That's
basically,
what I'm
my
concerned
general
with.
thing is the stipulations, I'm not nitpicking about a table here or there or that. So with this situation, I do think since the outdoor dining working group is also putting on a modification for every single thing, saying that they have to be ADA compliant for everything. So how should we,
Well,
don't
here's
wanna
the separate
underline
thing, is that the sidewalk cafe application has not come
right,
before us. And so if there's a stipulation, it should be subject to the final approved DOT plans, because they're not finalized.
right.
And, that's an important part of it.
Well, we have, our
And then-
diagram is not final, it's not approved, we don't.
And if it's changed or modified, which look, it may, if we get more clarity, that's fine, but the issue is that they submit this diagram
Well,
to the liquor authority when it's not approved, it creates a.
Well, I don't think-
presumption of-
they can, because they need to be submitting for final approval. No, but I mean.
All kinds of things happen.
Like the liquor authority
Without
is
saying,
saying,
I'll just leave it at that.
but the liquor authority is saying they need to have their DOT information. They need to have that finalized, back from DOT. So how about we just, approve the road bed, we don't have a problem with the road bed, and then we are,
The sidewalk is subject to approval by DOT
or,
and compliance with federal, state, and local laws, including, ADA requirements.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do we want to, I'm gonna open another can of worms for us. Do we want to say anything about the waivers for the
No.
emergency?
I mean, And I mean, the outdoor dining working group is pushing that. I just, if all these get issued, again, even to the point with the sidewalks and the ADA, the SLA, they're issued,
So
and that's a city.
the FDNY does not encourage these waivers or endorse them. I forget, there's a specific statement that they made. But as they hear them. To date, 44% of our roadbed dining
46,
applications have emergency lane waivers. That's not an anomaly, that's not an outlier, it's the norm. That's nuts.
Yeah, FDNY is issued.
Apparently, but it's not clear because we don't know what the criteria is. We don't know, there's no list that we've seen. The applicant for the waiver is DOT. They're supposed to be hardship waivers, but how does everybody have a hardship? If it's just the norm, they automatically do it. We don't know if they're looking holistically at the numbers on the block. We don't know if they're looking at situations across the street. There's all these open questions, but because everything was so late, or DOT had so much time to review them, and it's now this last minute. DOT has said that the problem is the process that the city council laid out. But the real question is, has DOT been using their time wisely to process these? This is all happening at the last minute, so we don't know if it could get changed after the fact. That's the point, because people are asking questions, and that's also, again, not fair to the businesses.
No, I mean, we had this on Tuesday night where the Tortinery was here for theirs, and they have a waiver. Now, they need the waiver, but they have the place across the street also has a waiver, the half pint. So who's getting the waiver?
Well, we don't know if they
And
both have
we don't
waivers,
know
we
if
just
they-
know DOT approved it,
Right, and
so.
then there was something about a 15-foot offset. Who does that if
That
that's
was
happening?
preliminary discussions, which we were told. were
Now don't
not-
exist.
Well, no, we weren't told that they don't exist, that was just part of early interagency conversations. So
With Dante, I think, well, everything is based on the 10 o'clock closing, and then I'll write something in for the sidewalk and roadway, I don't, but the sidewalk that it's conditioned on final approved DOT plan, subject to approval by DOT and federal local laws, the ADA compliant.
And we want to say that a member of the public objected to the waiver. Emergency waiver.
Here's what I'm going to say. They are going to be here on every single application that has a waiver. They're going to say that I'm going to have 100 of these to 200 to 300 of these that I have to do. So I guess I can put something in the reso that just says that, and maybe I'll get the form going and the committee can start. That I think would be good doing these. So I'll start flagging the FDNY waivers just to.
we can just
I
say
mean,
that we can just say that that we heard concerns about the emergency lane waiver, and, the community board's raising those issues with DOT.
Right.
What it is, I mean, that's.
Yeah, I'll just make the same blanket statement on each one of them. Okay, so are we denying less with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Then the next one is the, one.
Sada.
I appreciate, for Empellon, like having them, the reductions that they've
Yes.
made and the changes, and I really, this is, is a huge reduction.
It's a huge reduction.
And hearing the concerns in the community, and I take his comments really that he said, hey, I think this was the best.
Yeah.
I made the changes and sort of had to pick which battle to fight, but I've left a significant larger opening for access to the building than having the whole frontage. So I think that was
A good, and he's allowed to, there's nothing in the rules that said he can't.
that's right.
So, it's not that he's not compliant. But he did get rid of, I mean, I think it was supposed to have the seating that we had. Yeah. So we deny unless, and it's 10 o'clock on both of them. Okay. And then the next one is 86 Bedford.
He's gonna send you, the email, because she said that's the one from the guy upstairs.
Yes, get email from guy upstairs. Neighbor. I love that, get email from guy upstairs, neighbor. I remember, I think she came with Fort Charles, actually. I remember that.
I was
So-
looking on the finger.
I know.
She's pretty no nonsense.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. So, it's 12 to 12, no TV, no outside, background music, electronic reservation system, no basement use. And emergency exit will be alarmed, Carter, do you know which one of these it is that goes to the alleyways and? This is the main entrance, these?
For-
Yeah, you know, Or just.
That's the main entrance.
That's the main
That's
entrance,
residential.
which is the alleyway that everybody's worried about,
This one is the one that went out around the back to the other side.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just say all the emergency exits will be alarmed.
Yeah.
And 15 private parties a year.
Thank you, Kate. For here, okay, so we're denying less on this.
Yep.
Okay, then number 7 is 1 LW 12.
Oh, that had a lot of. There was a lot of negotiation on that.
Well, yes, I mean, we did do a Zoom call and there were 4 or 5 of us, with the James Street Block Association. And 61 Jane on there and Zach and myself and Joey 61 Jane and then Leslie Clark joined in, but she deferred to and I think when I left to come here, it was left at that they would give up the DJ. But they wanted 2 a.m. Thursday to Saturday. And I called Kate and I said, okay, because I knew she couldn't come, so I said, Kate, I just want to get a sense of like the balance. I mean, personally, somebody who lives there, I was like, which is worse? I don't know. I mean, 2 a.m. or would you rather just have it be done at 1 and those doors closed?
I go for 2 a.m. to DJ.
Yeah, that, I was leaning that way too. So we got the 1 a.m. and no DJ. I'm very happy with that. And I think that's goodwill to the neighborhood. It'll be good to have something in that space. I do hope they can deal with the trash and the new team seems good. So, deny unless?
Yeah, 10 private parties a year.
Yeah, and the outdoors, I'm going to have it closed at 10 and 11.
Yeah, that's what they said.
This is the one, no cart.
Yeah, because,
No,
they started putting out this red carpet and these gold ropes and big flowers for Instagram and everything. And he said they're gonna have a lot of curtains inside. Kind of separating these areas, the front area, they removed the bar, it's a seated area, but we'll be bar-like. I mean, the place is going to be bar-like, but they're gonna double curtains all over and sort of stuff, whatever. So, okay, nice. Kate will be happy. You didn't have to make that big decision. No, that's interesting, because you would have gone with a no DJ at 2 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see, I was with you. Kate was the other.
It's quiet.
Kate was the other way. She was like, I'd rather, because her point was if it doesn't work, now you're stuck with a 2 a.m. But I'm sort of with you based on what I'm going through with the people right next door to them, so. Okay, and then the next one is the big box, which we did.
We did.
Okay, so wait 1 second, wait, and then we have, all right, yeah, so we have, AW Hospitality, the one on 14th Street that came in January. So when they came and discussed the whole thing about having the loan from the guy from Dre's, who was a partner, but is not a partner because they already put in their liquor license and they couldn't switch it. The liquor authority is giving them a hard time about that, so now they are going to switch it and bring him on instead of doing it after the fact, so I'm.
There's an option that they could do that.
Yeah, so I'm just going to add to this, our stipulations say, it says we don't have more than any change of, hang on, I can find it, just a second. Any change in more than 20%. Okay, so it says, will not add more principals as presented CB2 greater than 20% share of business prior to submission of original application to the New York State Liquor Authority. And what I'm adding on to that is other than, Justin Dre, which is what they disclosed to us when they were here. They've been waiting so long for this. I would really, it's getting, I don't want them to have to bring on another new partner and have to do it again because I have to go to another group. So I think that.
The applicant wasn't here. Sometimes it's been really hard on people when the applicant doesn't show up.
That's true, but I think that the principal owns businesses in our community.
Yeah.
He also owns many businesses around, and we have had over the years, we've had people in his position come by themselves. And we've also had them come with their managers. And, that's. Poor Charles, the principal, never came.
She was the one who
Charles.
said,
I know.
She was the one who came.
so she's experienced doing that.
Was he the one, did he get on the phone with us once from, David?
No, that was
No.
someone else.
But we, we have to, we're supposed to be getting a stipulation. So I think that, is there any new business? Okay, so I think we're good, right?
I did take those pictures, nobody else.
Oh, good. Okay, well, I didn't realize they were those. Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. I'll have to go in. I didn't realize they were.
I feel it's hard about this.
Are we out?
We're done.
And then they put,
Thanks for coming. How are you? Good to see you.
One more month.